Earth, with over 8.2 billion people, 24 different time zones, and thousands of unique landscapes, our planet is anything but ordinary. From an entire city that is located inside an active volcano, a lake that literally glows in the dark, and a hidden island that is considered the most beautiful place in the world. For this video, we've searched the entire globe to bring you the craziest, wildest, and most incredible geography facts from around the world. So get ready, because these 50 facts will change the way you see the world. But first, if you love learning about the craziest, most unbelievable places on Earth, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on our latest videos. At number 1, did you know that Australia's Dingo fence is one of the longest single continuous human-made structures on Earth? At about 5,614 kilometers in length, the Dingo fence stretches across Queensland, New South Wales, and South Australia, aiming to keep dingoes out of Australia's southeastern agricultural region. While you may have heard that Australia's Dingo fence is actually longer than the Great Wall of China, that statement is a common misconception. While it is the longest continuous fence in the world, the Great Wall of China isn't just one wall. It's a vast system of walls and fortifications with a total combined length of 21,196 kilometers, making it longer than the Dingo fence. At number 2, hidden beneath Antarctica's ice lie dozens of volcanoes, some still active today. Scientists have identified up to 138 volcanoes under the West Antarctic ice sheet, with at least 91 entirely buried beneath kilometers of ice, and possibly more waiting to be discovered. Only 2 volcanoes, Mount Erebus and Deception Island, are confirmed active. The rest are thought to be dormant or extinct. As climate change melts ice, pressure on these subglacial magma chambers drops, which could trigger volcanic eruptions beneath the surface, technically accelerating ice loss in a dangerous feedback loop. Number 3. Did you know the world's largest natural cave, Son Doong in Vietnam, is so colossal that you could fit a 40-story skyscraper inside it? It spans approximately 9 kilometers in length, with interior chambers soaring up to 500 meters high and 175 meters wide. Discovered in the early 1990s and officially surveyed in 2009 by a British-Vietnamese team, Son Doong stunned scientists with its cathedral-scale size, even earning the nickname Great Wall of Vietnam for the calcite barrier explorers had to climb. It's an underground world on another scale. At number 4, did you know that Kaliningrad is a Russian exclave, a sliver of territory completely detached from mainland Russia and tucked between Poland and Lithuania on the Baltic Sea? Covering about 15,125 square kilometers, roughly 1/5 the size of Lithuania, and home to around 1 million people. This historic land once formed part of German East Prussia, with its capital formerly known as Königsberg, before being ceded to the USSR in 1945 and renamed Kaliningrad after Mikhail Kalinin. At number 5, speaking of Russia, did you know that Russia is one of the coldest countries on Earth? With an average annual temperature of approximately -5 degrees Celsius, in northeastern Siberia lies Oymyakon, considered the coldest permanently inhabited place on Earth. In February 1933, the town recorded a temperature of -67.7 degrees Celsius, and winters routinely average around -50 degrees Celsius. Oymyakon's extreme cold stems from its geography nestled in a mountain valley that traps frigid air, receiving limited winter daylight, and located far from oceanic warmth. As a result, it's snow-covered and bone-chilling for about 9 months each year. Other notably cold nations include Mongolia, Greenland, Norway, and Finland. At number 6, did you know that the continent of Africa is home to 54 independent countries, the most of any continent in the world? Official United Nations reports list 54 sovereign nations, including powerhouses like Nigeria, Egypt, and South Africa. Although sometimes you'll hear the number 55, that includes the disputed territory of Western Sahara, which is recognized by the African Union but not universally by the UN. Today, those 54 countries span every landscape, from the deserts of the Sahara to the rainforests of the Congo, deserts of Namibia, and coastal cities. They cover nearly 30 million square kilometers and host 1.4 billion people. At number 7, speaking of population, both China and India are home to over 1.4 billion people each, together making up more than a quarter of Earth's entire population. As of mid-2024, China's population was approximately 1.42 billion, while India had around 1.45 billion together, totaling about 35% of the world's population of roughly 8.16 billion people. India officially became the world's most populous country in 2023, surpassing China after decades of higher birth rates and a younger population structure. China's population fell by around 1.4 million in 2024, marking 3 consecutive years of decline due to low fertility and aging demographics. At number 8, did you know that the line of 0 degrees longitude, the prime meridian, runs directly through Greenwich, England, marking the point from which all east-west positioning on Earth is measured? Established at the Royal Observatory, Greenwich by Sir George Airy in 1851, it became the world standard at the International Meridian Conference in Washington, D.C. in 1884. The historic line is marked by a metal strip in the observatory courtyard, and, by night, a laser beam shoots northward across the London sky. Number 9. The Okavango Delta in Botswana floods during the dry season, defying normal river behavior by peaking when the landscape is driest. The floodwaters begin as rain in Angola's highlands, then slowly travel over 1,000 kilometers to Botswana, arriving in the delta from April into June, and peaking between June and August, precisely during Botswana's dry months. During this time, the delta inflates from a baseline of roughly 4,000 to 6,000 square kilometers up to about 12,000 square kilometers, and in wetter years, nearly 15,000 square kilometers, tripling in size as floodwaters spread across the Kalahari Plains. Number 10. Did you know that only 2 sovereign nations in the world are double landlocked? Meaning you must cross at least 2 countries to reach the nearest ocean, and those 2 are Uzbekistan and Liechtenstein. Uzbekistan, in Central Asia, is surrounded by 5 landlocked neighbors: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Afghanistan, which themselves are entirely landlocked, making ocean access a 2-border journey at minimum. Liechtenstein, perched in Western Europe between Austria and Switzerland, is Europe's only double landlocked country, sandwiched by 2 landlocked neighbors and cut off from direct sea access. At number 11. Did you know that Indonesia ranks as the most volcanically active country on Earth, with around 130 active volcanoes scattered across its archipelago? Sitting along the Pacific Ring of Fire, Indonesia spans the collision of the Indo-Australian, Eurasian, and Pacific tectonic plates, generating relentless magma activity from Sumatra to Sulawesi, Java, Bali, and beyond, making up approximately 13% of all active volcanoes worldwide. In 2025 alone, there have been 56 confirmed eruptions from 55 different volcanoes, including the eruption of Mount Luotobi Laki-Laki in East Nusa Tenggara Province. Number 12. Speaking of extremes, Japan experiences over 1,500 earthquakes every year, making it one of the world's most seismically active nations. Sitting at the intersection of 4 tectonic plates, the Pacific, Philippine Sea, Eurasian, and North American, Japan accounts for roughly 10 to 18% of the world's earthquakes, with magnitudes between 4 and 6 occurring frequently. Japan's record includes some of the most devastating quakes in history, like the tragic 1923 Great Kanto quake and the 2011 Tohoku earthquake, registering magnitude 9.0 and triggering a massive tsunami and nuclear disaster. To manage the constant seismic threat, Japan has a nationwide early warning system and regular drills for citizens. At number 13, did you know that Bangladesh has over 700 rivers? Traditional sources and Banglapedia list about 700 rivers, including tributaries and distributaries across the vast Ganges-Brahmaputra-Meghna river system, totaling nearly 24,140 kilometers of waterways. However, recent government drafts from the Ministry of Water Resources have officially stated between 1,156 and 1,294 rivers, based on valley-wide reports, though experts argue the real count may exceed 2,000 when including smaller hill streams and Sundarbans channels. At number 14. Did you know that the vast Tibetan Plateau is often called the roof of the world, with an average elevation soaring above 4,500 meters? Spanning roughly 2.5 million square kilometers, about 4 times the size of France, it is the highest and largest plateau on the planet. This elevated giant was formed by the collision of the Indo-Australian and Eurasian tectonic plates, thrusting it skyward over millions of years. Despite its harsh climate, winter temperatures in places like Changtang can fall below -40 degrees Celsius, and its glaciers feed most of Asia's mighty rivers, the Yangtze, Yellow, Mekong, Brahmaputra, and Indus, earning it the nickname the Water Tower of Asia. Number 15. The world's longest road is the Pan American Highway, stretching nearly 30,000 kilometers from Alaska to Argentina. The route links several countries, including the US, Canada, Mexico, across Central America, then into Colombia, Peru, Chile, and Argentina. There's one major interruption, however, the Darien Gap, a dense rainforest between Panama and Colombia, where road construction has never fully occurred due to the extreme terrain and indigenous opposition. Because of that break, travelers often ship vehicles around the gap or fly, but the Guinness World Records still list the Pan American Highway as the world's longest motorable road network. At number 16. The Maldives is the lowest-lying country on Earth, with an astonishingly low average elevation of just 1.5 meters above sea level. Spread across roughly 1,196 coral islands totaling only 298 square kilometers of land, more than 80% of the archipelago sits less than 1 meter above sea level, and its highest natural point reaches merely about 2.4 meters on Vilingili Island in the Adu Atoll. Thanks to this extreme flatness, the Maldives holds the record for the lowest average elevation among all nations. As climate change speeds up sea level rise, this delicate paradise is increasingly at risk. With no natural ridges, cliffs, or high ground to retreat to, the Maldives is arguably the most threatened nation on Earth. At number 17. Did you know that Lake Kariba, straddling the border of Zambia and Zimbabwe, is the largest man-made reservoir in the world by volume? Built by damming the Zambezi River at Kariba Gorge in the late 1950s, the reservoir holds up to 185 cubic kilometers of water, making it larger by volume than the Three Gorges Dam in China. Stretching about 223 kilometers, its construction between 1958 and 1963 triggered induced seismic activity, more than 20 earthquakes magnitude 5 or greater, as the immense water pressure stressed the region's geology. Today, Lake Kariba remains a critical hydroelectric hub and is a symbol of human ambition reshaping nature, making it unmatched in scale among artificial lakes. Number 18. Did you know that the Democratic Republic of Congo hosts the second largest rainforest in the world, coming in just after the Amazon? The Congo Basin rainforest spans roughly 1.6 million square kilometers. Around 60% of that rainforest lies within the DRC's borders, equating to nearly 1 million square kilometers of primary forest, making the DRC second only to Brazil globally. This rainforest is home to elephants, bonobos, chimpanzees, over 10,000 plant species, and is also home to approximately 400 mammal species, 1,000 bird species, and 700 fish species, many nowhere else on Earth. At number 19. Speaking of rainforests, Gabon is 88% covered by rainforest, making it one of the most densely forested nations on the planet. With a total area of about 267,700 square kilometers, nearly 236,000 square kilometers of that is lush tropical forest, surpassed only by a few small countries in forest-to-land ratio. Incredibly, despite boasting nearly 90% forest cover, Gabon has kept its deforestation rate below 0.1% annually over the past 30 years, which is a significant achievement. The dense forest supports extraordinary biodiversity, including the world's largest remaining population of forest elephants, about 60% of the global total, and thriving populations of gorillas. Number 20. Did you know that Nepal is home to 8 of the world's 10 tallest mountains, including Mount Everest? Among the top 10 highest peaks globally, only K2 and Nanga Parbat lie entirely outside Nepal. The other 8, including Everest, Kanchenjunga, Lutosi, Makalo, Cho-Oyu, Dhaulagiri, and Annapurna, either fully or partly fall within Nepal's borders. These giants dominate the Nepali Himalayas, forming a majestic range frozen at the edge of the sky, sculpted by tectonic collisions between the Indo-Australian and Eurasian plates. They define Nepal's rugged character and draw adventurers worldwide. At number 21. Did you know that Panama is one of the only countries in the world where, under perfect conditions, you can see both the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans at once? From the summit of Volcan Baru, Panama's highest peak at roughly 3,475 meters, hikers on a clear day can glimpse the Pacific Ocean to the west and the Atlantic to the east, a rare geographical vantage made possible by Panama's narrow S-shaped isthmus and its tilt across two oceans. At number 22, Socotra Island is a Yemeni island in the Indian Ocean. Situated between the Gardafoui Channel and the Arabian Sea, it's often described as Earth's most alien-looking and beautiful place. Isolated for millions of years, Socotra is a living gallery of surreal and sculptural vegetation. Umbrella-shaped dragon's blood trees, bottle-like cucumber trees, delicate desert roses, and other endemic species make up nearly 37% of its 835 plant species, all found nowhere else in the world. With trees that look surreal, monochrome dunes beside vibrant reefs, and barren mountains rising against bright blue skies, Socotra possesses a cinematic, dreamlike beauty that's unlike anywhere else on Earth. At number 23. Did you know that the US state of Alaska is actually closer to Russia than it is to the contiguous United States? At its nearest point, mainland Alaska and mainland Russia are separated by just 88 kilometers across the Bering Strait. Even more astonishing, the Diomede Islands, situated in the middle of the Bering Strait, bring the two nations within just 3.8 kilometers of each other. Little Diomede belongs to the United States and Big Diomede to Russia, making them the two closest land masses between the countries. At number 24, rising at the border of Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana, Mount Roraima is a massive flat-topped mountain that looks like something out of a sci-fi film. Its towering 400-meter vertical cliffs are often shrouded in mist, making it feel like a floating island in the sky. The summit is a completely isolated world. Because it's been cut off for millions of years, the top has unique plants, strange rock formations. The mountain even inspired Arthur Conan Doyle's novel The Lost World, where dinosaurs survived in secret atop a hidden plateau. At number 25, Antarctica has no official time zone. Instead, every research station sets its own clock according to practical needs. Because all longitudinal lines converge at the poles, Antarctica technically lies within all 24 global time zones simultaneously, making a unified time system impossible. As a result, stations follow the time zone of their home country or main supply hub. In essence, time in Antarctica isn't defined by longitude or the sun. It's chosen for convenience. At number 26. Did you know that the Sahara Desert stretches across roughly 9.2 million square kilometers, making it even larger than the entire continental United States, excluding Alaska? That's about 31% of Africa's total land area, engulfing 10 countries, including Algeria, Chad, Egypt, Libya, Mali, Mauritania, Morocco, Niger, Sudan, Tunisia, plus the disputed Western Sahara. At number 27. Did you know that Finland is the most forested country in Europe? About 26.2 million hectares, roughly 86% of Finland's total area is classified as forestry land. That's more forest coverage than any other European nation. In simpler terms, Finnish woods cover approximately 224,000 square kilometers out of about 338,000 square kilometers, dwarfing the land area of entire countries like Romania or Ecuador. At number 28. Mongolia has the lowest population density of any sovereign country on Earth, despite being the 19th largest nation by area. With a landmass of approximately 1.56 million square kilometers and a population of just around 3.5 million people, Mongolia averages only about 2 people per square kilometer, far less dense than even Australia or Canada. Over 45% of all Mongolians live in Ulaanbaatar, the capital, so vast swaths of the rest of the country feel nearly empty, with some regions hosting fewer than 1 person per square kilometer. Mongolia's terrain, dominated by the Gobi Desert, soaring Altai Mountains, and wide-open steppes, combined with a harsh continental climate and nomadic traditions, has kept population levels exceptionally low and settlement highly sparse. At number 29. Did you know that Portugal's westernmost point, Cabo de Roca, was once considered the end of the world? Perched atop 140-meter cliffs overlooking the vast Atlantic, 16th-century Portuguese poet Luís de Camões famously described it as where the land ends and the sea begins. Before European sailors fully mapped the globe, Cabo de Roca was seen as the edge of known civilization. an ominous boundary where seas supposedly led into unknown realms or mythical monsters. Today, a stone monument and cross marks the point, inscribed with Camus' verse. Visitors can even buy a souvenir certificate declaring, "I've stood at the end of Europe," a nod to centuries when this cliff felt like the last outpost of the world. At number 30. Did you know that North Korea and Finland are technically both bordered by the same country, Russia? Russia shares a 17-kilometer land border with North Korea, along with the Tumen River, and an extensive 1,340-kilometer eastern border with Finland, making both countries Russia's neighbors despite being worlds apart in distance and culture. In North Korea's case, the border is short and remote, the only land boundary it has aside from China and South Korea. Finland's border, by contrast, crosses vast taiga forests and is the longest of Russia's European neighbors. At number 31. Did you know that Costa Rica abolished its army in 1948, making it one of the few modern republics to constitutionally prohibit a permanent military? After the 1948 Civil War, the 1949 Constitution officially outlawed permanent military forces, while still allowing for temporary security structures under civilian control. With no military budget, Costa Rica channels significant resources into human development. Education and health together account for 60% of government expenditure, supporting universal literacy, free basic healthcare, and strong social indicators across the country. At number 32. Did you know that Malta is so small you can drive across the whole main island in under an hour? The main island covers just 246 square kilometers, and the entire Maltese territory, including Gozo and Comino, totals about 316 square kilometers. Smaller than many cities, yet full of historic sites, beaches, and towns. This compact layout means you can go from Valletta's fortifications to the cliffs of Dinli or the sandy beaches near Malaya in under an hour, turning Malta into one of the world's most accessible micro-destinations. At number 33. Chile is the longest country in the world from north to south, stretching over 4,300 kilometers, a distance greater than the span from New York City to Miami, making it remarkably elongated and narrow. Despite its immense length, Chile has an average width of just about 177 kilometers, rarely exceeding 350 kilometers, making it one of the world's most uniquely shaped countries. This unusual geography gives Chile extraordinary climatic and ecological diversity, from the hyper-arid Atacama Desert in the north to the glacial fjords and forests of Patagonia in the south, all under one national flag. At number 34. Tuvalu, a tiny Pacific atoll nation, is projected to be the first country at risk of disappearing due to rising sea levels. Tuvalu has a total land area of just around 26 square kilometers, with an average elevation under 2 meters, making it one of the lowest-lying nations on Earth. Coastal flooding is already a reality. By 2050, about 50% of its capital atoll, Funafuti, could be regularly submerged at high tide, rising to 95% by the year 2100. Tuvalu's government has also amended its constitution in 2023 to assert its permanent statehood and maritime rights regardless of land laws, ensuring its sovereignty endures even if the land does not. At number 35. Did you know that most Australians live on or near the coast, making Australia one of the world's most coastal-oriented populations? Roughly 95% of Australians live within 100 kilometers of the shoreline, and around 85% reside within just 50 kilometers in major coastal cities like Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and Perth. Though Australia spans nearly 7.7 million square kilometers, it's mostly arid or semi-arid interior land, with fewer than 4 people per square kilometer on average. Coastal living offers milder climate, fertile lands, ports, and jobs, drawing people away from the harsh desert interior. At number 36. Did you know that Hawaii is the most isolated population center on Earth? Hawaii is approximately 3,850 kilometers from California and about 6,200 kilometers from Japan. The kind of distance that makes even long-haul flights feel short compared to its Pacific solitude. Honolulu, the main population hub, is considered one of the most remote major cities globally. Its closest U.S. major metro neighbor is San Francisco, around 3,862 kilometers away. That isolation has shaped everything from Hawaii's high rate of endemic species, many found nowhere else on Earth, to a culture and economy built around maritime connections, tourism, and self-sufficiency. in a place surrounded by nothing but open ocean. At number 37. Did you know that the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico was shaped by the same massive asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs over 66 million years ago? That asteroid struck just off the coast, excavating the buried Chicxulub crater, measuring about 200 kilometers across. Its impact unleashed energy equivalent to 100 million megatons of TNT, triggering global firestorms, tsunamis, earthquakes, and a nuclear winter that blotted out sunlight and led to the extinction of roughly 75 to 80% of all species, including non-avian dinosaurs. Today, the stunning ring of cenote, a semicircular chain of sinkholes across the northern Yucatan, is a visible surface scar of this ancient catastrophe. At number 38. Mosquito Bay on the island of Vieques, Puerto Rico, holds the Guinness World Record as the brightest bioluminescent bay on Earth. Renowned for its otherworldly nighttime glow, this magical bay is home to tiny organisms that flash vibrant blue-green light whenever the water is disturbed. Visitors kayak through pitch-black water, triggering glowing streaks with every paddle stroke or splash, creating a surreal underwater starfield experience. Puerto Rico is home to 3 year-round bioluminescent bays: Mosquito Bay, Laguna Grande in Fajardo, and La Paguera in Lajas. But Mosquito Bay stands out as the brightest, possibly the most photogenic of them all. Number 39. Did you know that Iceland produces virtually 100% of its electricity from renewable sources, with around 85% of its total primary energy coming from geothermal and hydropower combined? In Iceland, nearly all of the grid's electricity is generated by hydropower and geothermal energy, leaving little dependence on fossil fuels for power production. About 90% of homes are heated using steam or hot water piped from underground reservoirs, making geothermal the dominant source of space heating. This setup is built on geology. Iceland straddles the mid-Atlantic ridge, combining volcanic activity with powerful glacial rivers to generate abundant clean energy. Number 40. Did you know that Finland has more saunas than cars, with over 3 million saunas for its population of around 5.5 million people? While the total number of vehicles, including cars, buses, and trucks, is about 3.2 million, saunas are at least as common as vehicles in this sauna-obsessed country. Saunas are literally everywhere in Finland: homes, apartments, offices, public pools, hotels, even embassies. And about 90% of Finns use a sauna at least once a week, with many going multiple times. Number 41. Did you know that more than 25% of the Netherlands lies below sea level, made habitable only by an extraordinary network of dikes, pumps, and reclaimed land, with a further 24% less than 1 meter above it? Major cities such as Amsterdam and Rotterdam are built on land that would be underwater if not for the Dutch water management system. To protect this low-lying terrain, the Netherlands has created the Delta Works, a modern marvel of dams, sluices, storm barriers, levees, and reinforced dike systems, safeguarding entire provinces from the North Sea. At number 42. Did you know that Czechia has the highest number of castles per capita in the world? With over 2,000 castles, chateaus, ruins, and fortresses scattered across an area of about 78,900 square kilometers. That's roughly one historic site for every 4,500 to 5,000 people, a density unmatched by any other country. Czechia's castle-rich landscape includes everything from grand medieval strongholds like the sprawling Prague Castle, the largest ancient castle complex in the world, to romantic chateaus and hilltop ruins tucked into nearly every village and protected landscape. Whether transformed into hotels, museums, or restaurants, many are easily reachable within hours from Prague or regional towns. In regions like Bohemia and Moravia, it's common to find multiple castles in a single-day trip. Number 43. Have you heard of the Chihuahuan Desert, which spreads across northern Mexico and parts of the United States? It is the largest desert in North America, covering around 500,000 square kilometers. More than 90% of this desert lies in Mexico, spanning the states of Chihuahua, Coahuila, Durango, Zacatecas, Nuevo León, and parts of Sonora, while the rest stretches into Texas, southern New Mexico, and southeastern Arizona. With around 3,500 plant species, approximately 1,000 of which are found nowhere else on Earth, it hosts nearly a quarter of the world's cactus species. Number 44. Did you know that California has more national parks than any other U.S. state? A total of 9 parks within its borders. These 9 national parks include iconic destinations like Yosemite, Sequoia and Kings Canyon, Death Valley, Joshua Tree, Redwood, Lassen Volcanic, Channel Islands, and the relatively newer Pinnacles, all managed by the National Park Service. This distinction places California ahead of every other state. Alaska follows closely with 8 parks, and Utah has 5. Its parks cover everything from towering redwoods and volcanic landscapes to arid deserts and coastal islands. Millions flock to explore these protected lands each year, making California a global leader in natural diversity and conservation. At number 45, the Northern Lights, or Aurora Borealis, are one of Earth's most stunning natural wonders. Visible in high-latitude regions like Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Canada, and can also be seen in Alaska. This breathtaking spectacle happens when charged particles from the sun collide with gases in Earth's atmosphere, causing waves of green, purple, red, and even pink light to shimmer across the sky. Beyond their beauty, the lights are a reminder of Earth's magnetic field and how it protects us from solar radiation. Abisko, Sweden, in the Aurora Sky Station, is known for having clear skies and frequent auroras, making it one of the best places on Earth to view them. Number 46. The Tabernas Desert in Andalusia is the only true desert on mainland Europe. The Tabernas Desert covers about 280 square kilometers and is uniquely classified under a hot desert climate, an extremely rare environment in continental Europe. Here, annual rainfall stays below 220 to 250 millimeters, while summer temperatures often soar past 40 degrees Celsius, carving out dramatic badlands and ravines from the arid landscape. At number 47. Did you know that La Palma in the Canary Islands is home to one of the world's largest erosion calderas, the Caldera de Taburiente, spanning about 8 to 9 kilometers in diameter and plunging nearly 2,000 meters deep? The caldera supports lush Canary Island pine forests, clear streams, springs, and waterfalls up to 150 meters high, all fed by its deep ravines and rich hydrology, an ecosystem thriving in stark contrast to the barren slopes above. La Caldera de Taburiente has been designated as one of the 100 geological heritage sites in the world by the International Union of Geological Sciences. From above the rim or within its depths, the caldera's sheer scale makes it one of Earth's most awe-inspiring landscapes. Number 48. Andalusia has more olive trees than anywhere else on Earth. Andalusia makes up 80% of Spain's olive oil output, and Spain contributes roughly 40 to 45% of global olive oil production. In practical terms, that means about 75% of all olive trees in Spain are located in Andalusia. It's especially concentrated in Jaén province, where more than 66 million olive trees cover around 550,000 hectares. Across Andalusia, olive groves occupy over 1.5 million hectares, which is about 45% of the region's agricultural land. With traditional groves and intensive farms, Andalusia recently set a new record with over 4.25 billion euros in olive oil exports in 2024, confirming its economic as well as geographic dominance in the olive world. At number 49. Moving on to Portugal. Did you know that the tiny town of Sete Cidades on São Miguel Island is nestled inside a massive volcanic crater, and people live there peacefully? Sete Cidades sits within the Sete Cidades Massif, a volcanic caldera about 7 kilometers wide with crater walls rising roughly 300 meters above a pair of striking lakes, Lagoa Azul and Lagoa Verde, each reflecting the sky and vegetation in vivid blue and green tones. The village itself is home to fewer than 800 residents. Visitors can hike around the crater rim, paddle around the lakes, cycle or quad through volcanic tracks, or walk a unique 1.2-kilometer tunnel built in the 1930s to regulate lake levels while doubling as a footpath. Number 50. Did you know that Hudson Bay in Canada is one of the world's largest bays? So large that you could fit the entire island of Great Britain inside it with room to spare. Hudson Bay covers roughly 1,230,000 square kilometers, making it the second largest bay by area on Earth, surpassed only by the Bay of Bengal. The bay holds the longest shoreline of any bay in North America, with an intricate indented coast ringing Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, and Nunavut. In terms of drainage, its watershed covers an enormous 3.86 million square kilometers, spanning much of Canada and parts of the US, making Hudson Bay one of Earth's most significant inland seas, even by watershed size. So there you have it. Which of these mind-blowing facts from around the world surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on more mind-blowing geography facts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.